School Flowers by Lisa Mason
Do you want me on
Ziegler.
this other? That's what I was going to ask you. What do you want? Okay.
Am I good right here?
So is she good there, or what do you?
Go ahead. I'm not going to grab her.
No, I was like, what?
It's fine.
It just says push me wherever you want to push me. I don't know what you're doing. Hi folks, I'm here with Shannon from Skye Flower Field, and we are talking flowers today. So going in, Shannon, we're trying to diversify our farm just a little bit, and we're thinking about adding a little more flowers. We currently do a little bit of zinnias and a little bit of pro-cut sunflowers, mostly for us and pollinators, but there is a need for it in our area. So we've been kind of thinking about it, and I noticed that you have this trellising up. Can you explain a little bit why you would trellis, what you would do, how you would trellis, or anything like that?
Absolutely, yeah. So I tend to use netting on anything that gets about taller than 2 feet in branches.
Okay.
A lot of cut flowers that you grow, you really want to pinch them because then it encourages them to branch from the base. And when they branch from the base, they grow up to about the same height as what they would have grown.
Okay.
But it really helps with this netting. I got this netting from Bootstrap Farmer. It really helps to keep everything in place because when it gets windy and there's lots of big storms and downpours or wind or things like that, it really helps keep the flowers in place. Because once they kind of bend over and flop into the aisles or into the pathways and things like that, it's really hard to get them to come back to be straight again.
Okay.
So you really want to make sure that you're netting from the beginning. And once it gets to a certain amount of height, I do add a second layer of netting on top of it because once it gets to be about this height, and this gets 3 to 6 inches taller, it's going to need some more support because you can tell once it gets this high, it's getting floppy again.
Right, and if you get any amount of storms or any kind of wind or anything like that, so adding a second layer would kind of keep that tight.
And it damages the plants when they get out of the netting as well because then they snap off and then they may not grow from that area again, depending on the kind of flower. If it's something like a zinnias, they're a little more hardy and they grow, they'll come back more. But something like dahlias, once the stalk has fallen over onto the ground, it's kind of done. It's really useless. So it's really beneficial for things like that.
Okay, so now what would you, I've asked Amanda this, I was talking to Amanda, which I love Amanda, so I was talking to Amanda about some things. What would you recommend for like a new grower possibly getting into something?
Yeah, anything that's, do you mean more for the summer or the winter, or both? I guess for the summer, I'd say anything that you could start from seed is really easy.
Okay.
Dahlias is probably a little bit more advanced.
Right.
But things like zinnias, cosmos, celosia, gomphrena, those are all things that you can plant that branch like this one right here. This is celosia that I started. This is one plant that I pinched, and you can see it's got about 8 stalks coming off the side. So it grows lots and lots of great stems. And Lysianthus is another great one to grow in the summer. It's a little more advanced as well. It's a little hard to start from seed, but it's a great drought resistant flower.
Okay. Now I'm sure we could stand here for hours and kind of talk about what would work out great in my zone versus your zone and stuff like that. But I'm kind of more interested in this trellis netting here. Is there any way we can kind of put one together, or you can kind of show me how to put one together?
Yeah, absolutely. I've got a row of dahlias over here that needs staking, so we can do it over there.
Okay.
So the first thing I would do is start and secure it at one end or the other.
Okay.
So I would do it and make sure it's as tight as possible. So, and sometimes you kind of have to move the stakes because you could, stake them in before. And then I would set it over top just like that.
So do you want this one pushed in like this? Okay.
Yeah, just a little bit, and then bring it down. And then I would start working my way down each section. So we'll come back and adjust it. It's okay if it's too tall right now.
Okay.
But just to at least secure it, we can always fix it and adjust it later.
So do you want it to go a little tighter, or this?
Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah, you want it to be tight, or else the plants won't stay straight.
So we probably need to tighten this just a little bit.
Oh no, that's perfectly fine. Yeah, that one's fine because we can always pull these out and then use this mallet to stake them in. And then as they grow up, we'll move it up. And then if it needs another layer, we'll add another layer.
Okay.
So now I'll just come back through and adjust it. Like this seems a little tight, so I may push this in a bit and kind of push it down. I don't really do anything, but. And then I'll come back over here, and this looks like it could use adjusted, so I'll probably take this one more over.
Oh, okay.
And then just.
And then just like come in and maybe just.
Yeah, and then I would come through and and then I'll come through and adjust these and put these through. And then if I see them, if they fall out or anything like that, I can put them back in.
Okay.
So yeah, I just adjust everything to make sure it's It's all coming through the netting, and then as it grows up, I can move the netting up with it.
Oh, okay. So it's pretty user friendly then. It's
Yeah,
not something that people
absolutely.
should be afraid of or
Yeah, you just have to
anything
be
like
careful when you're cutting through the netting because you can accidentally kind of snip it, and then it kind of is useless at that point.
that. Right.
So you have to be real careful when you are cutting through the netting, but
Okay.
it's definitely more helpful. Yeah, probably I would use it with zip tie to repair it, or I'll just move the flower to like another section to where it's a little bit more supported.
All right, Shannon, now that you've shown us how to put that on, what would you do at the end of the season? I mean, how do you, I'm sure some of this may get damaged in storms and stuff and it may
Sure.
not be usable, but the stuff that you can be reused, for instance, let's just say this is
Yeah.
what, how would you roll this up or put it away for the season?
Yeah, so I would probably first remove all the plant matter underneath, and then
Okay.
I would remove the stakes, and then I would lift the netting off of that and set it to the side and make
Okay.
sure it's clear of all debris, because it will have some leaves and vines and things on it depending on what you're growing. So I'd make sure it's clear of all debris, and then I would roll it up on a piece of cardboard roll up kind of tube thing.
Okay. Okay. So it's basically kind of the same instance what we do with like landscaping fabric.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you'd like to reuse that because, you know,
Yeah.
for one thing, you hate to reuse or you hate to have a lot of plastic thrown in the trash.
Yeah,
so if you
yeah.
could reuse some of that stuff, plus it's expensive. I mean,
Totally.
this stuff isn't cheap. So
Yeah.
it's like if you can get 2 or 3 uses out of it, I can understand that. So.
Absolutely, yeah. Save money where you can.
Exactly.
And reuse where you can.
All right, Shannon. Well, thank you very much for having us out to
Thank
the
you
farm
for
today.
being
I
here.
appreciate it. And I think this is going to kind of conclude my whole Texas tour here
Yay.
this week. So it's pretty awesome that I get a chance to meet you. I follow you
Yeah.
on Instagram and stuff.
You too.
So it's cool that I get to meet you finally and get to kind of talk to you about some stuff. So anyway, thank you so much for,
Thank you.
for
Thank
letting
you
us
for
come
being
and hang
here.
out. Thank you.
Happy for it.
Okay, beautiful, sweetheart. We're
We're
done right
good.
now. We're good.